Hello everyone, friends. I often get asked, Maxim, tell me what are the chances of getting her back? And in this video, I'll go over the main factors that can help you assess the likelihood of a positive outcome. Of course, this assumes that the man is actually taking the necessary steps, not just sitting around waiting for things to change on their own. Factor number one is how long ago the breakup happened. Of course, it's easier to act right after the breakup because the habits and points of contact are still there, which we can use to our advantage. Also, as often happens, a man makes rash decisions during the breakup, trying to talk, give gifts, or show up unannounced. And when we start acting truly effectively, there's a noticeable contrast in our behavior which works brilliantly. Factor number two is the duration of the relationship. This isn't the top priority, but it definitely matters. The closer the bond and the more integrated you were in each other's lives, the more associations and various ties there are. And truly forgetting someone is not an easy task, provided, of course, that the man isn't asking to come back. Factor number three. Did the man hold a strong position in the relationship? For example, if at first the woman needed us more, invested more, and then later there was a shift in roles, with the woman losing her feelings and emotions and ultimately ending the relationship, achieving a result will be easier than if, throughout the entire relationship, the woman held the stronger position and the man, in turn, was the one who needed her. Factor number four. Does she have a worthy alternative? When a woman's interest in a man decreases, in her mind, the man transforms from a prince into a frog. In other words, she stops noticing even the obvious merits of her partner. That's why even handsome, sought-after, and successful men get dumped. And she doesn't always have a worthy replacement. And in the process of getting her back, if you act wisely, the realization of what she actually lost will definitely come. Factor number five. This is about how many mistakes the man managed to make. And here the key point is not the degree of the man's humiliation. When a man proposes marriage, sings serenades under her window, shows up, brings flowers and gifts. But how long did this go on? If a man has been knocking on a closed door for 2 months, trying to talk to the girl about something, while she has already blocked him everywhere and just dreams that he would leave her alone, it's clear that the process of getting her back will take a much longer period of time. But if the man quickly pulled himself together and stopped these impulsive, thoughtless actions done in a state of emotional turmoil, it will be much easier to act. Factor number six is convenience. Despite the fact that the main misconception men have is the idea that creating convenient and comfortable conditions in a relationship can serve as an incentive for a woman to love us, in the process of getting her back, this will actually work in your favor, because this is exactly where she loses certain perks. This is exactly when she will start to assign real, significant value to them. Factor number seven is having children together. This can work both for you and against you. In some situations, we have successfully used this to increase a woman's sense of importance towards us. In other situations, however, it becomes a stumbling block. It's like an ace up the sleeve of an ex-girlfriend or ex-wife that she can pull out at any moment. So in this case, everything is strictly individual. Factor number eight is the situation when a woman leaves for another man. I might surprise you here. The likelihood that a woman will come back to you in tears is actually higher than when she leaves for nowhere in particular. Why is that? Because often a woman jumps head first into a new relationship and her expectations aren't fully met. Also, the woman simply doesn't have enough time to lose her feelings of significance for us to such an extent. Naturally, again, this is provided we act wisely on our part. Factor number nine is the situation when a woman goes back to her ex-boyfriend. The simplest scenario is that a woman is only able to return to the man who once broke up with her. Of course, she might tell the story completely differently, saying that she left on her own, although in reality she was being pushed away psychologically, and her initiative to leave was really just a formality. So, what's the good news, the silver lining? The ex-boyfriend's interest will be completely fleeting and short-lived. Very soon, he will lose interest and leave her again. So to repeat, this is the simplest scenario. Factor number 10 that has an impact is emotional resources. In other words, it's about what's happening in the woman's life right now. If she's currently on the rise, succeeding at work, or in other areas of her life, she'll be able to hold on longer, even when she's going through emotional turmoil. But it also works the other way around. Again, this doesn't mean that we won't achieve the final result. It just means it will take a little more time. The 11th factor is the misconception men have when they place unjustifiably high importance on their intimate life. Very often during consultations, I hear things like, "She was so satisfied with sex with me. It was just some kind of magic for her." Although in reality, when I used to consult women, about 50% of those who really wanted to get their ex-husband or boyfriend back admitted that, to put it mildly, their intimate life left much to be desired. But there was significance. In other words, this is by no means a decisive factor. As a rule, men try to assess the chances of getting their ex back based on the present moment. That is, a man sees that the woman is rejecting him, she doesn't want to see or hear him, all his attempts to change something have hit a wall, and the man thinks, that's it, it's over. Friends, these are not the factors that matter to us at all. Absolutely all situations that have to do with getting an ex back always start from point A. That is, the situation where the woman feels rejection and no physical attraction. Point B is the situation where she comes back. If you were together for at least 6 months, believe me, she will never forget you. All the more so when it comes to serious relationships or a long-term family life. But it's important to approach getting her back the right way so that we set all these processes in motion. There's no need to rush anything. A man's biggest fear is the thought that time is slipping away and she's forgetting him. Friends, she forgets you when you beg to come back, when you try to be around her, when you try to write something, suck up, or talk to her. That's when she's actually forgetting you. But when we start to act wisely and effectively, that definitely won't happen anymore. Every day I get messages describing someone's story, and at the end there's always this question, Maxime, what are the chances in my case? And the man is stuck in this cycle of overthinking, chewing over his own problem, just sitting there worrying, instead of actually starting to take action, to do something about it. Sometimes there's an even more amusing situation when we've already scheduled a consultation, but then the man says, no, actually I'm not sure, I still haven't decided whether it's worth trying to get her back. If the chances are low, maybe I shouldn't try, maybe I shouldn't reach out. But in reality, if a man has already faced this problem, if the girl has left him, this situation could easily happen again as soon as tomorrow. So you need to make a decision. Either you decide that yes, you want to restore this relationship, or at the very least, you want to understand what happened. If you're not aiming to do that, fine, turn the page, move on with your life, and just get it out of your head. But sitting around, suffering, and overthinking it makes absolutely no sense at all. The last thing I want to say about the chances of getting your ex-girlfriend back is this. Absolutely all men who were determined to work on it, to get results, and did everything necessary, including keeping their own emotions under control. It's not easy, friends. And regardless of how much time it takes, because it's impossible to change your roles in just a week or two, they ultimately achieved a positive result. Also, every day I receive a ton of messages where men ask for advice or seek some guidance. Friends, I am not the kind of person who gives advice. It's impossible to sum up several years of a relationship in a single message. And I can't solve that problem with just one phrase. Of course not. You need to dive into it. You need to make it clear and transparent. You need to really get a feel for it. And then we develop a specific action plan based on the situation and taking all the other nuances into account. And I provide all of this in a single consultation. And most importantly, don't be like Valera.